No, they can't see you. I can hear you. It's alright. Yeah, it's nice. Where's that noise coming from? Okay. Where's that noise coming from? Okay. I had an echo. Sorry, guys. I had one tab open with YouTube on it, so I was getting a double echo. All right. Thanks for joining. What I'm going to cover today is pretty much the macro picture, opportunities in the shorter time frame, give you some perspective why it's bullish and the reasons why it's bullish. at this level, and then talk about key levels moving forward and what's the evidence, and then look at Ethereum and then a few alts, and then along the way, if you've got any questions, I'll go with them. So let's start. All right, so I suppose right now most of you are interested in what's Bitcoin doing right now. I have a nice chart here, and if I just zoom out a bit, so that's the 1 hour, and if we just zoom out, and I'm sure you've seen it many times on probably social media, or Twitter or YouTube, we had this macro resistance line all the way down up to a point. Let's just maximize the screen, and this trend line was acting as a resistance up to a point, and when we broke it, actually we'll do this one here. This one's a bit more local, and that was the one there. So when we broke it, and what we have is the 10 and the 20, what is it? The weekly, the daily moving average. Yep. So we had the 10 and 20 daily moving average. In the past, they will act like support over here and over here, act like support. And when we cross over, it's pretty much bearish. And this is pretty much confirmation that we're bullish. And then you see the trend line breaking and the momentum upwards. So the dotted ones are the 20 moving average and the 50 moving average. So when we broke it decisively, we use this 50 moving average as support, and it has confluence with Fibonacci, and it has confluence with previous price over here. Like you can see that. So once we break key levels and continue on to break key resistance, we have momentum. This green one is what I will talk about later on, which is a 200 daily moving average. I think that's a key level as well. And right now, let's just look at the indicators. What I had on the 1 hour, if we go in close, we had this ever so higher lows continuing to approach this key resistance. The main key resistance is along here. All this, let me just change the color. All these areas of support previously acted as a resistance there. So we're gonna probably touch it again, and then we're gonna see what happens. If it spikes, I do believe we'll get a quick rejection, and hopefully it doesn't go down and then back up. That could be very possible, depending how it approaches that line. If it approaches slowly, we have a better shot. If it spikes, it will be like a fake out, and the shorts will come in. So that is the scenario I'm looking at. Now, why am I bullish? Let's just get rid of this. On the 1 hour time frame, we've got small signs. So initially we had this resistance on the RSI, and it had confluence to be acting as support, bounce support. This pivot point was given later, which reflects here, and this top. So we got two pivot points, and the RSI is broken above it. It might retest and go back up, and if it's bearish, it will go back down. What else do we have? We can also look at, so that's from the RSI perspective. We can get rid of that and look at the MACD. And let's just do this for a sec. From the MACD perspective, you can see we had a few crossover, and very similar to the RSI, we want to see this break above decisively, and even better. So if we I would say roughly there, and we can see that we've got the crossover. I've modified this script so every time there's a crossover, I get a bar, vertical bar, and that's what we have right now, another crossover. So it's looking bullish, and that's one more aspect. And the last bit, if we use the Ichimoku Cloud, what we can see pretty much is the same. We had a crossover of the signals here. So if you look at the Ichimoku Cloud, if you looking from a different perspective, this one here and the base, these are it's like a moving averages in a sense. So we had a crossover there. This cloud is acting as support, and again we had another crossover here. So it's getting tight. It might come back down, and we've got the support line. So we're going to rely on this area for support. From a bigger perspective, what gives me confidence that this will break, I don't know. But what I'll be watching is this. Moving to the total market cap. The total market cap, on the right, I have the daily, and it's on my, whoops, I better not touch that. From a daily perspective, if you look at the total market cap, we have this trend line, and you can see my Elliott wave count. We had wave 5, we had an ABC correction on the 0.618. We have, along with the trend line, along with the Fibonacci, we've got a resistance. And if we were to break this, then we've got this next level here, which has confluence of support and resistance, and the major one, which is there. So these are the things that I'll be looking at. So if we break this, we might go sideways and just continue on. This is going to be significant. If you pull to the side, and let's see how so I've got the Phoenix here, which is all in the bullish territory, all above 50%. I don't want to see this crossover, but as long as this stays above, it's going to be positive. So that's from the daily perspective. And let's look at the RSI. The RSI is in the area where there can be a bit of pullback. We do not have any trends to leverage off on the daily there, only for trend lines at Fibonacci. So if we were to look on a smaller time period, and I'll get rid of my moving average for a sec. Yep, there's a lot of Fibonacci lines there and so on. Let's just fix that up a bit. What I like to see is confirmation that this MACD crosses over. If this was a crossover, we are likely to break that resistance. What resistance have we got? All right, let's have a look at that. All right, here we go. Clean that up a bit. Still on total market cap. So on the total market cap, I had a formation there of widening wedge. Initially, it was this yellow dotted area that was the focus, and we broke that, found a key level of Fibonacci as a support. So 0.5 became a support level, and what's that one? That red one there is on the macro. Actually, that's the extension, so we don't need that. So what we have right now, as I said, is the 0.618. And if we were to break that formation, so we have a bit of a trend line. Is it on log? No. Okay. I'm not sure why that moved. Yep. Ever so. So I'm using that roughly trend line, this broadening wedge, as a means of gauging this level. So this orange line is the main resistance, which is a 618. Yep. So this structure is bullish, and if we were to count, that would be my A, B, C, D, E, and now you could probably do that. I'd like to see a decisive break, retest, and potentially the bull market more moving. So on the 4-hour, the MACD is pretty much looking for confirmation that we break through it. So once we do that, I would say that if you're looking to buy in, I would say use that as a means of entering the market. But make sure the 4-hour candle closes before you do that. So if we're looking close, you can see this trend line is so far, I suppose it's relevant to a point. It's doing its job at the moment as a consolidation under a major resistance. So if you do the Elliott wave count, we might get one more down and then the squeeze up. I don't want to use the Bollinger Band, that doesn't give much, but here so far we are looking pretty positive. Okay, right. What else do we have? That is, what else do I use? What I tend to use, and I tend to use tether dominance. The tether dominance chart historically has been really good to gauge what the market is doing, and there is a lot. I do believe a lot of people picked up on this. So I've been watching on the 4-hour where this bullish divergence has taken place. So on my right side, we have the bullish divergence that take place. So that's down and that's up. So we expected a bounce, and we got that. And then we got the bearish divergence, and ever so slowly, ever so closely, if we maximize this, you can see that we are almost breaking that resistance or support, sorry. So that trend line and this level, we had a wick here. I'd like to see it go down, but on the daily, you can see this red bar, and I've drawn all my key levels of support and Fibonacci. So this is a major level, and I do believe we're going to come down slowly, and then we might get a bearish divergence, and then if we are bullish, we have to break this to be a bull market, I think, because this has been a level of resistance and support. This band is significant. So as long as if we were to go down, that is beautiful. I do see that's going to potentially be the next top that will coincide with Bitcoin. So previously, the 64K was here, the 68K was there. So you can see potentially a trend line. These were the bottoms of the market. That was the 29K. This was the 34K. So we have some means of looking for tether dominance. Tether dominance tends to be a good indicator, because the more we got tether, it means the more people are selling. So that's what I have in regards to that. And looking at the bigger markets, the US dollar did get a good rejection, and it did hit its target with this inverted head and shoulders or triangle. So we've hit that. Key resistance level is here. We didn't quite reach it. So I'm not sure what the US dollar is going to do now, and we'll need to keep an eye on it. But what we have is today, this is a 12-hour chart. For the past few days, SP 500 has been going up, and we've hit a resistance. Does that correlate to Bitcoin? Maybe. and the Nasdaq is also bullish as well and is regained. So basically it's trending sideways. So the stock market is going sideways, and Bitcoin benefits from that. So going back to this chart, getting rid of Ichimoku, actually go to the daily. You can see the Ichimoku Cloud as the main resistance, and this is not going to be easy to break through, and we're just going to watch it. But over here, you can see how we didn't actually have it. it kept on being a resistance, but here we broke right through it. So if I were just to get rid of Ichimoku Cloud for a sec, and actually, what is it? This one. Give me a sec. Is it this one? No. Oh, it's this one. Okay. All right. So I can get rid of the 10 moving average, and the 20 is that. No need. And we can see from a big picture perspective. Actually, I had another chart. Maybe that's the one. Sorry. There we go. All right. So using the analogy, I can get rid of this for a sec. Where is it? Okay. Okay. I will do that. And what I have done, and just to compare, historically, when we did get above this range and Bitcoin broke, basically we're in the same region as this before. And it was very complex to trade this. And I have a feeling that this is going to be the same. So this region is was very complicated. Prior to that, we can't use the prior one. We can use this one. But prior to, we had this history there where it's very nasty to get to 50K. And so I think we're going to have a bit of fluctuation there, and potentially find it difficult to trade. And from a leverage perspective, you just go long. That's my opinion. And if we're going closer, you can see that we have our 618 Fibonacci from the top to the bottom. So we've got our fib there. We have previous areas of significance with these yellow hammers, where it's basically the lower 50K range. And therefore, if we ever to think bullish, we need to break that level to look for all-time highs. Until we break that, it's wishful thinking to think that we can pass the 618, but we can, but it's too early to say. What we need to do is just take it one step at a time. So the 0.5 or the 200 moving average on the daily, I see this one as a key level and a strong resistance, because it's a point of control. It just coincides with that moving average. So that's what I'm expecting. Difficulty to trade this area, and I do think that if we're to do this at a fib from here to this top level here, you can see how that also comes across with the Fibonacci as well. Now, if we were to add volume profiling into this layer, you can see that is also a level of control. Again, equating to the 200 daily moving average. So there's a lot of confluence, and it does make sense that this area, to me, this is basically what I'm saying, between here, no, that's not the right color, between there and there, this is going to be a difficult area to work out. We could probably go up there and then come back down. and this could be the bear market beginning. So a good rejection here is possible. So be careful how you look at being bullish. Once we break this level, it can be used as support, and then we'll see how we go there. If we were to break this decisively, I would be looking to enter a bigger trade with leverage, using that as support. That's basically it. This area is going to be very difficult to figure out what it means. I believe it doesn't. It's a neutral area from a macro perspective, because it's above a key resistance that can act as support, but it's still below this major fib level as resistance. And if we were to measure anything from that perspective, if we were to break it, we can use a few tools with us, and let's see how we go. We can get the fib extension from the swing low to the swing high, swing low. Maybe we can hit the 77K if we're fib extension of 1. So if we were to break that, and depending on the level, we have this macro channel. We can probably do that. This can be a bullish formation. All right. So if you look at that, that can be a bullish formation. If this was our, let's just get it out for a second. I'll show you Elliott wave count. So if this was our A, and that was B, that's our C. Potentially could be flat, D and E, and then we can go up. So let's just get that color out and put the lines. I'm thinking along those lines from a bullish perspective. Otherwise, we can twist this around. So the flat level, I think, is going to be a resistance, this level here. And we use this as support, and then we can go for all-time high, potentially go parabolic. But that's I just don't see that happening, to tell the truth, from a number of reasons. And one of them, if I was to get it out. So let's look at the big picture. And this is, let's get the daily out. We can see how, okay. If we were to look at here, actually it's not bad from a daily perspective. That volume here, the previous bottom here, the OBV was really strong in its move. This is turning out to be weaker because we're just bouncing around more so. If you look at that, it's more jagged. Where this was very decisively strong, this is climbing. So it's not as strong, in my opinion. And if I was to go to the weekly, if we look at the weekly wave, you can see how volume, what is called the volume, I forgot what it's called. Yeah, the on-balance volume oscillator. So that, you can see that the magnitude is not there based on volume. This is much more stronger. So what we do see, and very similar to RSI, we have this potential resistance. So if I was to stick out, bring up the weekly RSI, I'm going to use this for a sec. And we're going to use this as a comparison. From there to there was a major bearish divergence. That's why we've got this major pull down. I can get rid of that for a sec. We don't need these anymore. clean it up a bit. So what we had was a major bearish divergence. So that was price going up, but RSI premise dropping down. So we had that deep pullback, pretty evident. And if you've got this moving average, you can use that as a means on the weekly to work yourself out that, okay, once it drops below it, that candle is pretty much exit candle once the RSI drops below. Very similar to some of these. And similarly, you can use it besides a short time frame. It doesn't have to be weekly, but that breaking that average, we haven't quite done it yet. And I'm thinking that we need to break this level for this RSI to be bullish. So that is another thing from a weekly perspective. What we have on the weekly is we do have the weekly high. So we've gained a weekly trend. So that was the lowest. So this trend of the weekly we've regained, and as long as we close bullish like that we have a chance. But what I like to see is this crossover. Very similar to this, that on the weekly, that is a signal. We can always come back down and get rejection. So if we can just break through that, that will coincide with the total market cap as well. So I think that will coincide with this level here as well. So if we close the weekly above that, I do think that will reflect the RSI on that. And now this is my caution. Like I said, this level here, if we were to continue on moving to this level here, this is the area of significance. That could be coinciding with this RSI. So if we come, this is the area of contention. If we break above it, I think we're going to go for all-time highs. If we get a rejection around here, I don't know what it's going to be. It could be even higher, could be lower. If we get a rejection and back down again, that's what's going to happen. So keeping an eye on the weekly RSI is pretty important at this point as a means of figuring out if you're going to get out of the market or not. Yeah, don't go with the hype. Go with what the charts tell you. So that's what I got at the moment. You have a funny accent. You're Australian. It's not a funny accent. It's just an Australian accent. Probably don't watch enough Australian movies. Anyway, so here we go. Maybe my voice is a bit dry as well. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys from the bigger picture perspective. And then we have these other types of tools that we can look at. So I've got the Phoenix, and I like the Phoenix tool. So if I can close that for a sec. The Phoenix is also looking at breaking the 50% level. We got a long way to go for this red RSI. This needs to get above here to be bullish, and I think that's the same level there. Historically, once we got this green area and the red above 50%, you can see the momentum's very high on the upside. At the moment, we've still got a lot of work to do. This was a bullish divergence, so that was the case. So the bullish divergence played out, and we got to a level where it's slowing down, and that's why I think it's going to be complicated in terms of trading. So that's a weekly perspective. We can look at it on short time frames, but that is the macro picture that I'm looking at. If I was to go to the 2-day, let's see what the 2-day does. We are bullish, and you can see it's nice. On the 2-day, let's see the daily. Even the daily is bullish. And we're losing a bit of momentum, but this can always turn around. So look at the daily candles, very, very slow in gaining. So this level is a level of significance, and you can see whatever candle, what's this one? This is the weekly 50 moving average. So the weekly 50 moving average is the main resistance right here, this yellow one. Yep. So moving average, not EMA, but MA, is it? Hold on, give a sec. Yeah, EMA, sorry. So these buggers all have some significance, but what we have, this one here, is a 50. Hold on. What's this one then? Weekly. What's this one? Oh, daily. Okay. So the daily is acting as support, and 50 is roughly acting as resistance. Key levels of, if you go to roughly around here, you can see that we had support here and rejection there, and that is pretty much aligned with that. So it'll be nice to see breaking above that, and you can see ever so slowly historically in the next level playing resistance. We've got a lot of layers to go through, and that's why I think it's going to be complex. All right, let's have a quick look at Ethereum, and that's Ethereum against Bitcoin. So here I have Ethereum. I was looking for Ethereum to break this trend line. So this trend line is level of significance. I've got my monthly levels, I've got my weekly levels, and so on. So you can see it's just undecisive, very flat. So Ethereum is not giving us clear signals as well. And what's Bitcoin doing right now? Let's have a closer look on the 1 hour. I don't want to miss out. Okay, so still sideways. So third of entering. So if we come back down, the fourth touch up, even better, fifth. One more touch, and then definitely. That will prove to us that this is a major resistance. And the more touches we have it, when it comes time to retest, it should act as support. So the more you see touches, the better. But that is a nice level to look for a trade. Okay, let me look at any questions. No. So that's all I got for now. I've been trading this. What is it called? SLP. Beautiful run. I was lucky enough to find an entry last minute. We're there and around here. So I got 2 trades going. And I think this is the target. About 4 cents. Well, why do I think that's the target? If we go to the bigger chart. What do we have more? Okay, that level. So Fibonacci, basically. Ooh, the volume spike. That's huge. So the 0.382, 0.618. 0.618 doesn't have any confluence. Not yet. So that level there is that's probably the level. So we've already passed that level. That's a mid volume, but that's a 0.382. So we can find probably, if we can break decisive above it, that'll be good. But the 0.618 to this range here, 4.7 to 5. I think this is going to be where you get a rejection with this momentum. But anyway, that's what I think at the moment. Gala's not doing so well, just going sideways. So alt perp found some resistance. Okay. So it's found another resistance. So this represents altcoins. This is the shitcoin chart. This is the DeFi. So DeFi hasn't quite gone either. So we can see a bit of a slowdown. So if we see a slowdown, okay, there we go. We've got a bounce. So that's why we're getting a slowdown. Bitcoin dominance is find support and a bounce there. Okay, so this is what we're going to look at. I do believe that we're going to, well, you can see, if I get it in the right color, you can see how we come down and drop. We are chipping away at this support level on to the dominance, and then we should come down to this next level here, which is the level of support. And anyway, that is comes in handy. What else we want to look at? Which coins I'm interested in? Well, I've done that. Let's look at Super. Super is finding a lot of resistance there. Got any questions, let me know. But that's pretty much it from a chart perspective. Now we can go through a bunch of charts, but I like people to ask rather than me just waffle on. Let's see. EGLD, so it's holding its support, but with a bearish divergence in there as well. So there's going to be a lot of alts that have bearish divergence. So we can potentially just go back down a little bit based on that Tether scenario where we're getting a bounce. And you can see all these coins against Bitcoin are pretty much losing value. So let's look at let's see, have a look at this. Okay. And again, all in the red. So we're going in the red at the moment. More red than green. Okay, so EPS, TLM. Okay, so yeah, these ones already broke out before, so not much movement when you look at it. The alts, only a few. So what I can talk about, let's see, get some charts out. What I'm interested in, and if you're interested, there you go. Been looking at Moonbeam for a while, and that looks crappy as well. Let's see, gold, red, bugger. Okay. On KuCoin, nothing is really, they've all moved and they're coming to resistance. So we had a few days in the green for a few of them, so I wouldn't be surprised that some of them go red, but they're not. So the alts haven't been doing great against Bitcoin, and it's usually the case. All right, I'll leave it at that. No one's going to ask any questions. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll wrap it up. It's been a while, and I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.